Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm Carrie Hawker-Diaz.
And I'm David Osmond. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, so you've spent a little time on stage, sir.
Man, they say 10,000 hours, then you become pro. I think that was by my first birthday.
Wow. Because you've been doing this since like the very beginning.
No, actually by default, I kind of was born into a musical entertaining family, so I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
I just assumed every kid's dad did this, and that's what I love to do. So entertainment certainly has been my world, and it's fun to cross paths with other entertainers and hear their experiences and what makes them tick. And
sure.
The good, the bad, the ugly, I mean, the behind the curtain, the behind the scenes, like all of it. We have more in common than we realize.
It's so true. Well, and Seth Stewart, so he was in Hamilton, like the original Hamilton. I feel like that production revolutionized kind of like Broadway because they brought like rap into
a whole
the
new
scene,
way
right?
of doing a show. Lin-Manuel Miranda, just brilliant lyricist, producer, creator, obviously took the world by storm with this show. Confession time, to be completely honest, I have never seen it. I actually have had so many opportunities, even doing shows right next door in Broadway, next to the stage door. And I know all the music and everything else. I just haven't even sat down to watch it. And I don't know if that's just me holding off for the maybe the right moment or something. I don't know. What about you?
You know, we know the music, right? Like it's just so famous that like when you hear Hamilton, you're like, oh yeah, we know all the songs, we know the music. But I hadn't seen it until recently as well. I feel like I was one of the last.
So
people.
You and I are the last two in the world that have. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Then we're equally paired here.
But when I did this interview, or when I found out that I was interviewing Seth, I'm like, I gotta watch it. So I did watch it the night before so I could see it. And Seth is such a powerhouse. I mean, he's a Broadway performer, a mentor, an author, and beyond the stage, so he explored ancient wisdom and survival skills in the forest. Like he just disconnected.
That's what I've heard about him, is that he's, obviously out there in the thick of it, on tour, performing most famous shows, but then he knows how to turn it off, like shut off the phone, literally disappear, go off grid, and reconnect on a physical, spiritual, mental health journey. He's got a story that you sat down to talk to him about that I'm anxious to hear and listen to now, because there is a lot of great benefit to being able to just shut that noise off then be in your own space, and then to go out into the forest, the woods, to kind of be resilient that way.
He shut it down.
Is powerful. This is cool.
And can you imagine just we're all busy, right? Just going, and the busyness of the entertainment industry. And then he just wanted to quiet his mind. He literally just went off the grid. He wrote a book about it, and he talks all about it now. So,
follow your vision, live your truth. That's the name of it.
Yeah.
So you got a lot to talk about, I'm sure. Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Let's give it a listen. Seth, I am so thrilled to be able to talk with you today. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Let's rewind a little bit. Congratulations, first of all, on being part of the original Hamilton cast. I mean, no big deal. Can you share what it was like stepping into the world of this groundbreaking show?
I always tell people it wasn't what the world sees it for now. We didn't know what we were doing. They had an idea of what the story that was going to be told and the music that was going to be sung. But to make it make sense for us was the tricky part. And I kind of think the fun part when you're going into rehearsals and building a show. But it didn't make sense to me, honestly. I was with the show off Broadway. It didn't really make sense to me until we got into the previews to where all these rap battles and congressional hearings finally made sense. So it was a building process, a very fun one, but one that didn't make sense till the end for me. And I think a lot of us actually.
Well, it was kind of the first, at least if I'm aware of, like the first of kind of like this musical you're saying with like rap. And, I think it was obviously like very groundbreaking. So maybe at first you're like, is this going to work? Is this not? Obviously it did work really well.
Yeah, it did. And I was really grateful because, it's a new take on a new show. It's not something that's been done on Broadway where, they're doing revivals or Disney shows. There's risk to be taken. So it could have gone either way, but the trajectory is clearly a global sensation now. So.
It is, and now a movie. So it's so fun. And so you played Jefferson and Lafayette. And how did you prepare for such an iconic role?
So I was in the original cast as an ensemble member from off Broadway, and then the original Broadway cast. And then I always understudied Jefferson Lafayette after Daveed Diggs. And so once he left the show, I took over the role. I kind of had to just make it my own, but it was just so much fun because it's a Tony Award winning role that he created. And I just, made it my own. It was one of my favorite characters and roles that I ever played. But it's also funny because, these people weren't characters. This was a heightened version of real people in American history. There's some real backstory to some of it, some of which was told in Hamilton and a lot there was missing. It was just a great character.
Sure. Some history to pay attention to there.
Yeah.
Are there any behind the scenes moments from Hamilton that have stayed with you over the years?
I just remember it feeling like what it was. It felt like a battle to get through that shows because it was such a long show. It was almost a 3-hour show. When you get tired, you get giddy. There was a lot of backstage moments I remember where people just so tired that they were actually giddy and doing just the most hilarious things. But that was one of my top moments. And then I guess my other top moment was, things that happened on stage. Again, the giggles. I love silly moments. And there's a couple times where we got, an earful from our stage manager from not being able to keep it together. But again, it's live theater, so that's kind of what people love.
When you catch that giggle bug, it's like you can't stop.
It's over.
The audience
audience needs to pause for cast to get together. But those are the fun moments that I remember.
That's so cool. Well, and Hamilton celebrated its 10th anniversary in 2025, and obviously going on 11 years, 2026 this year. How does it feel to see the legacy you helped build still resonate with audiences worldwide?
I really took a step back once I left the show in 2017, but coming back this year when we did the Tonys and then we actually did the 10-year anniversary, when I saw the new cast in vocal rehearsal and I stepped on that stage, I cried because it had been almost 10 years and I really got to see the fruits of our labor, the cast and creatives, to say, here's a show that's created for a whole new, I don't want to say a whole new demographic, but just a wide variety demographic of young performers that some of them you can tell are still really young. It's even their first new show. That is something that you don't set out to do, but once you realize you done it, you set a precedent and given opportunities for other people. So I actually cried. Like when I watched that new cast perform, it was just, this is what it's supposed to be. They took it, they held it, and they made it their own and made it beautiful.
Pretty cool to sit back and watch, I bet. I mean, you've had a great career. You've been part of In the Heights and Sweet Charity. How do you compare the energy and experiences of these shows?
I don't say it's hard to compare, but it was at different stages of my life. When I did Sweet Charity, I was 21 years old. But to me, that's very much a classical theater piece, one that people know. It was a revival, and it was just kind of very fun. In the Heights, again, an original. So I had been with this creative team since In the Heights off Broadway. That was new. It was electric. To me, that's what Broadway really represents. New stories to be told, new shows to be seen. I think that's always what made people come to the theaters. And again, the same with Hamilton. Hamilton, though, was just, again, a different trajectory. We had major celebrities in our off-Broadway show. We were sold out in our off-Broadway show with any celebrity you can name, they were probably there. So it kind of really showed me that I really want Broadway to not get so Disney and really take chances, producers to take chances on some of these fresh shows, because that is why people always come to see theater. It is culture. The one thing that I love is that if we can keep culture on Broadway and not just Disney, even though I love Disney, I think we can really bring new voices and new stories to be told.
Totally. And even after performing on some of the world's biggest stages, with all of that, you made a dramatic shift into studying with shamans and living off grid. What sparked that transition?
After I did In the Heights, I went camping. I got lost. I said, I don't know how to survive in the woods. And so I went and I trained for 6 months. And that was back in 2012. Came out of that, started business, went into Hamilton. And then during Hamilton, I got a similar internal call that says, this will probably be my last Broadway show. And I really need to follow my heart. Pretty much since Hamilton up until about 2 years ago, I went and studied with shamans in Peru, here in the States, and was just learning nature's wisdom, learning the spiritual wisdom that has been on this planet since, indigenous tribes have lived here.
Yeah.
And it was like magic, the stage, theater, performing, it's like magic to me. And living close to the earth was the only other time I felt that similar magic, just in a different way. And it captured my heart.
It's wild what nature can teach us. Just standing outside for 5 minutes, grounding, taking off your shoes, being on the grass, it is just transform almost in just a few minutes with doing that. Can you describe, and obviously you did it for much longer, but can you describe some of the lessons or maybe insights you gained from your time in the forest?
The earth is our greatest teacher. She's always providing. So as a man, it kind of really taught me to kind of bring in more of my feminine of just appreciation and kind of giving back, gratitude, offerings, things of that nature. But she's always providing us, always protecting us, food, shelter, you name it. Everything comes from a fire. All of our technology today still comes from that simple fire. I think we're losing that as, the human race, our connection to our original roots, no matter what country or ethnic background we come from, that fire is a central fire that connects all of humanity. And that really brought me back to oneness. We are all a part of this central fire, and that the fire and music and food and dance, these very basic things, bring us all together. Being out there for a long time taught me my connection to Earth Mother, and that unity is really what we are all seeking.
I love that. And speaking of oneness, you talked about that for a second. How did building your off-grid cabin and reconnecting with nature influence your mindset and approach to life and art from that end?
It was very much a mirror. It taught me how I moved fast and how I needed to slow down after living in New York City for 17 years. So some things I did fast, and it really taught me to slow down and listen to what trees I needed to cut down. I didn't just, open up my whole land. I went bit by bit, and it taught me to kind of slow down a little bit in life and really listen before I'm making certain decisions. But again, the main theme out there was magic. Like, if you slow down, you will hear yourself. You'll hear your heart. You'll hear what you really want and are being guided to do. And that, again, it taught me that there are other beings and other animals on the land. So I had to be very aware of where their homes were. I had to coexist with my environment around me as I was building. So it taught me to slow down. It was a mirror of how I was moving too fast, and just to really recognize and have an awareness of other things around me.
Yeah. When it gets so quiet, right? I think a lot of us can be afraid of that silence because we're so used to going.
It's deafening sometimes. Yeah, it really is.
We're going all the time. Were there any challenges when you were in those moments of silence, or did you have any moments of doubt when you left the stage for the silence of the forest?
I didn't, because I felt it. I was backstage when that moment happened, that I knew it was going to be my last Broadway show. And I think I had 3 months left in my contract. So I was already kind of prepped. But again, I was already in years of practice of meditation and prayer before I even, did some of these shows. So I was kind of in my practice silently and didn't really tell anybody. So I was already prepped, and I had things to do on the land. But it was when I was complete with things, nothing else to do physically, that's when I had to rely on meditation and just enjoying the stillness. But sometimes it still got boring, and the silence was deafening. I think we need that. I think we get uncomfortable with that. But I really think, especially for this next generations, they need to understand, and we all need to understand, what boredom is again and what silence is. Just my personal opinion.
We get uncomfortable, but that's where we grow. We grow from that. You now mentor young performers through Performer's Edge. What are the most important skills or mindsets you emphasize to help them succeed?
You might as well go after your dreams, because everything's going to be difficult.
Very true.
I really work with kids that are hungry. I don't care about, being the most talented person in the room. I care about the person that's a good young human that wants to grow. Those are always become the best athletes, the best performers. But the biggest gap that I've been realizing is that mindset and mental health wellness. And so that's been my biggest proponent, is I can teach theater or dance classes all day long, but is it really going to help the next generation? So I teach them about mindset, mental health wellness, and even a little bit of financial planning and networking. Those are the gaps to fill. Talent can take them all the way there, but this is show business, and I want them to understand the business side and then the mental health side. So that biggest thing with mindset is, any career you pick is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
But go after it anyways, because you can do something you don't like and it can still be just as difficult. So you might as well go after what you love.
Good advice. I really like that. And speaking of that, how do you integrate wellness and mental health? Because we are finally diving into that in the last few years of how important it is. And how do you integrate that into training for elite performances?
Whether I'm teaching these kids or I'm, working with anybody else, silence, knowing who you are, taking a moment to breathe and have some form of meditation practice or nature immersion. Those are the top two. Get still as often as you can, even if it's 20 minutes. And then at least once a week, get your butt in those trees. Go ground with the earth. That is the simplest medicine. But, also I tell these kids, is if you don't have something outside of theater or dance or music, find another hobby that you enjoy that is not determined by if you make it or if you're great at it. I don't care if it's volleyball or pickleball or just getting a degree in something else. Have something else that you love that is still just fun and is not based on what your career is going to be.
And what our success looks like. Change that a little bit. That's important, I
Yeah.
think, too. Yeah.
Have a little bit of something outside of it to just have fun.
Well, and financial literacy and networking are often overlooked in performing arts education. How do you approach these topics with your students?
I tell them everything that my mentors have taught me and everything that I've learned in actual practice. And so we're not really taught financial planning anyways in just general schools. So I give them ideas about investing. I give them ideas of, hey, you don't need to be on Broadway or be with some of the biggest television film shows. There are so many other opportunities out there that you can have a great career or start your own business within the realm of theater or performance, that if you build it over time, it's going to bring you income and make you wealthy. So basically what I do is I just open up their perspective and their awareness of other things around while keeping the biggest stages as the main target. And it's the same with networking. So I say, your network is equal to your net worth. And it's not always about money, but at a certain point, at a certain age, it is. That is a part of the equation. And I just make them aware of some of these things because we're not taught. And again, I want people to do what they love for as long as they can and walk away with something, even if it is a home or an apartment. I don't believe it's all about the material, but I do believe in financial stability, and financial stability does equal mental health in the long run.
Sure, to be able to just live and be comfortable. And coming with that, obviously, you're going to make mistakes. What common mistakes do you think that emerging artists make, and how is there any way to avoid them?
The biggest mistake is that it's going to happen in the time that they think. So that's why I come back to love and hard work. If you love it, it won't matter how long. Even though it's hard work and you love it, it won't feel like hard work. Everything I've done has never felt like hard work because I loved it. The rehearsal room, I love it as equally as much as I love being on stage. And so if I can teach the next generation, who cares if it's 4 years or 10 years? Who cares if you have to pick up a side job while pursuing your dreams? Once you arrive, you will have so much more gratitude towards it. So that biggest mistake that I've learned, even transitioning into a side sector, I guess you could say, of the performing arts by teaching and coaching, is that I have to be patient when my businesses grow. I have to prepare that it's going to be 4 to 5 years for it to get to the success level that I want it to be at.
Right.
It's just a patience game.
Well, and time's going to pass anyway.
Quickly,
very fast, a lot faster the older you get. I think with this next question, I think a lot about one of the last songs in Hamilton, going back to that for a second, who lives, who dies, who tells your story. With the story you're telling, you want other people to live their truth, tell their stories. And your new book, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth, came out last August. What inspired you to write this, and what can readers expect to take away?
That was such a clean transition. I just want to give you hats off, kudos. If anybody didn't catch that connection, come on, I love it. That's professionalism at its greatest.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah, everything I'm tying into, I journal a lot. I also tell my students, and I coach men, and maybe we'll get into that. But I always tell people, you have to journal. You have to know how you're feeling. You have to journal. You even have to journal some of your great experiences. You don't want to forget them. But basically, my book, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth, came from what did I learn from this moment, or what did I learn from this experience? What does my story tell me about myself? I never wrote a book to put it out into the world. I journaled for me to understand myself, for me to understand my major life questions. And at some point about 7 years ago, I was like, I feel called to write a book, but still for myself. Take all these journal entries, write a book. And it was only till about a year ago, maybe 2, that I was called that I had to put it out publicly and really share that. Following your vision and living your truth. It's going to be uncomfortable sometimes, but what's on the other side of that? Living your dreams, magic, meeting other people that are in alignment with you. And so the world's going to pull us in all these different directions. Some are distractions. We're going to get caught up in that sometimes. But if we always come back to our heart, if we always come back to doing what we love, always leads to us being fulfilled, which is what the human spirit really wants, this fulfillment in some part of its life, and potentially making a really good living from doing what you love. But that good living doesn't have a time frame. It usually takes time for that success to happen. And the biggest lesson I've learned from my book and in my life is that you pass away with nothing. You can't take anything. You can leave some stuff behind for your family, maybe.
True.
But you take nothing, acquire what you feel like you need to be comfortable or then some, but you're going to pass. And I think that there's beauty in that at some point you got to surrender and let it all go.
Ah, so true.
Yeah, you only take memories and experiences. Make them.
Make those memories, make those experiences.
Yeah. And it's like not from a metaphoric, oh, life is fluffy. No, really make your life experiences your life. Make great memories, even if it's only with a few people or just by yourself. If you have to travel alone, travel alone. Go to Barbados or go to Egypt. But that's all you get to take with you.
Very true. I do like what you said also in that with, I think a lot of us are looking at the work and the hard stuff. But if you focus on what's on the other side of that can bring you so much joy of what the hard work will reward you with.
The journey, a lot of people are going to drop off along the way.
Yeah.
And
a lot.
A lot. And I just really know from experience. And again, I still learn from other mentors. I still learn from other people. And everyone says the same thing. The people that are willing to do the marathon eventually are the ones that live their dreams. It's not a finish line. It's arriving to a place where you're living your dreams. And it's still going to be hard. It's still going to ask more of you.
Sure.
But that's in any art form, any athletics, any business. So I love learning more. I love not being the smartest in the room. I love having to elevate myself because that is part of what the human soul, the human spirit is here to do, evolve.
And help others. And that's what you also
do.
And
serve others, yes.
Okay, tell us more about coaching other men.
I started True Kings Academy about 3 years ago because I prayed on it and I said, God, what will be needed of me? And he said, help the men. I noticed I've been in a lot of different ceremonies, a lot of healing spaces over the past 12 to 15 years. And there weren't a lot of men in there. If there was 50 women, there might be 4 men.
Interesting.
And that was a big indicator. The other big indicator was a lot of my female friends, didn't have really good options in dating. And I said, well, that's really sad. So those 3 things, praying on it, listening to my female friends, and being in healing spaces and not noticing there's a lot of men, I kind of really took that path. And so I run a course. We work on the spiritual side of things. Like no matter what your beliefs are, we really bring in divinity. I believe, my personal belief, is we have to have a higher connection, something beyond us. We have to heal our traumas. We have to heal our relationships. And we have to set a template for what the new healed man looks like. But that also means really being a provider. Like the world is changing. And so finances are changing. How we made money is changing. Want to move with the tides to really help these men be healed, be loving their lives enough to where they're not wanting to commit suicide, but also be great in the relationships. Coming 2026, I'm going to be offering a lot more free workshops, monthly workshops, in-person events. And it's really my call. I mean, there's a lot more men helping other men. And I know the world can't see it, but I see a lot of it underneath because this is the other thing that I've been studying and working on the past 3 to 4 years.
Well, that was my next question, actually, in a world of, we're going through all this change, rapid change. What advice do you have for listeners who are listening right now who they're thinking, I need to live more purposefully and authentic. And how do I do that? Slow
down and listen to yourself and pray on it and meditate on it. I believe prayer is something that you send out to the Creator. And that's what's taught in ancient tribes. Your prayer is your request. And sometimes it's not even for yourself. It's to heal the world. It's to heal your sister or whatever. The prayer is a send out. When you meditate and you still your mind, and you still your body, and you get into your heart, that's when you're a better receiver. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the call and the response aspect, prayer and meditation. And programming, like when you wake up in the morning, what kind of life do you want to live? What is a heart-based style life that you want to live? Lastly, to kind of keep it simple, is you're probably going to have a bridge time. What I'm realizing, you're going to have to spend an amount of your time working and making income, because I see it in spiritual community. A lot of people can't even, really take care of themselves well, but they're really connected to God and in their heart, and they're loving people. Then there's people who make good money and are not connected to their heart at all. So there's a bridge. People are going to need to find their heart-based thing, find their service to others, or what they can provide to the world, the greater good, even if it's only providing that to 5 other people. That's fine. But you're going to need to in this ever-changing world, make sure you have an income because things are coming in the next 4 years with AI. I could go on and on.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to be scary. It's just called adaptability through evolution. And we just need to adapt.
I think a lot of us listening are thinking, okay, we meditating and, it sounds like a lot of change. When we introduce stillness into our life and meditation, like you talked about, is that something, if we really only have like an extra 5 minutes in the beginning of our day, can that make a difference, do you think, just the 5 minutes? Or someone thinking in their mind, well, that's not even going to help. I'm not even going to try because I just have 5 minutes and that won't be a big deal. In your opinion, is 5 minutes enough?
Absolutely. Because sometimes when I wake up at 7 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, all I have time is 5 minutes. So that 5 minutes might be 5 minutes of gratitude. And I'm telling the universe, thank you for this, thank you for that. Not only that, it's getting me out of my grumpy mood because I have to get up at 6:30 in the morning. So yes, it does reprogram your mind and your body and your auric field into a space of gratitude, and that to receive more of that. There's too much study on it now. It's just, there's too much proof on it. So yes, 5 minutes of gratitude can be all of that. But again, 5 minutes, if that's all you have while you're brushing your teeth in the morning, could be, what do I want my life to be? 5 minutes every day for 365 days, that adds up to some time. And any great successful person, no matter what they do, has always said, I got here because I believed in it and I worked hard.
Yeah.
And that's just by universal law. At some point, what you want has to come to you if you're matching it, just like a relationship. If you want a great relationship, you have to be that great match to your relationship. This is all about relationships to the earth, relationships to ourselves, and relationships to others. So yeah, 5 minutes is plenty of time and it will help. And then prayer doesn't need to take more than 5 minutes. If you want to do a prayer, meditation doesn't need to be more than 20 minutes. And over time, it stacks up and you will see the difference.
Gosh, that's so true. Not once has my mood not ever changed when I stop for a second and I'm just thinking of gratitude. When you shift your mind and just, even if it's just for 30 seconds and you quickly just go, okay, I need to take this in for a minute and just focus on what I'm grateful for, it really does help.
It really does help. And the world is always going to be chaotic. So all the listeners that are listening, the world is always going through change because of humans, because of technology. It's always going to change. So it is kind of your responsibility to stay grounded amongst all of the chaos. And not everything is chaos. Only, certain medias push out chaos. But there's a lot of beautiful things happening in the world, even with technology, even with people cleaning up the oceans. And so it's our responsibility, especially as adults, to be an anchor of groundedness for others around us and for ourselves. So taking 5 minutes of responsibility to be in gratitude or sending out prayer, even if it's not for you, my opinion, we should be praying for others that might be going through something, because it's sending out positive energy. As this world shifts, as this world changes, it is our responsibility to stay grounded. And there is beauty in the world as much as there is chaos, and so is this earth realm. It's both.
Looking back on your own career and your life journey, is there a moment or a decision that you would highlight as pivotal?
Yes. When I answered that call in my heart to go be with the earth for extended periods of time. Every time I've done it, it's always been magical. And it brought me to a place that was priceless. Like, without the connection to myself, without my connection to God source, without my connection to Earth Mother, I could have $10 million and potentially be absolutely miserable. But the other pivotal point is realizing, okay, I have that years of integration. The other pivotal point is realizing I can come out here, create businesses, make good money, because there's nothing wrong with making good money if it's not harming others. I could go into that whole philosophy. There's nothing wrong with being a great business person and still having that same connection and showing others they can have great businesses that serve other people, that serve humanity, while still having that same connection to the earth themselves and God.
Sure. And bonus, yeah, if it's fulfilling your heart and helping others, and you're making money at the same time, that's the ultimate. And I was just going to ask you about your future. What's next for Seth? Are there upcoming projects or new directions that we're looking for when we follow you?
Yeah, the hardest part of this year was giving up some of my dreams in order to start to really step into this mentorship, which I'd already been doing. My biggest life lesson this year is I've put out a book. I put out this course for Performer's Edge, but I've realized I have to give up. I really have to trim the fat and really focus on one or two things. And those two things are Performer's Edge, where I help young performers transition from high school into college performing arts, or from college into the professional world. And I help their parents and teachers as well in that transition and how to really do it. That's my giving back to this next generation of performers, because we always need dreamers and we always need storytellers. Throughout every war we've had, we've always needed it. So that's that, and really helping these men with my True Kings Academy. Honestly, if I can do these as well as I want, I really could see myself doing this the next 20, 30 years and really giving back. And it lights my fire the way that performing did. So, I mean, hey, if they needed me on stage 5, 6, 7, 8, I will throw down. You hear me? I will stay ready. But, mentorship and coaching is what I think that the world needs. And that's where I'm going to answer that call.
Well, Seth, you're lighting our fire, so we need you. We need you around to help us out, and wish we can continue this conversation for a long time. We have a couple more things, so finally, as we wrap up, if you could give one piece of guidance, you were just talking about performers and creatives, that have watched you on stage and film, and to these aspiring performers and dreamers and creatives, what would it be?
Keep going. As cliche as that might sound, keep going, because it is worth it every time you reach that stage and you affect the audience in a way that you would never even know. So, number one piece of advice for performers: keep going. It's worth it.
I grew up dancing, and I feel like you hit those moments, just all you see is the wall. No idea how beautiful it is on the other side. You just got to keep going. I think that's one real advice. Okay, we are going to wrap up with what we call the Fresh 5. There are 5 quick questions to get to know you a little bit better in a different way. Seth, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. You're on a flight or on a road trip. Where are you headed?
Ooh, Costa Rica.
I've never been. I want to go. Next one, Friday night or Sunday morning?
Ooh, Sunday morning.
I had a feeling. Favorite comfort food? Is there something that makes you think of home, or
grilled cheese?
Ah, that's a good one. Do you like to call or text?
Call. Let's talk.
And last one. What is making Seth smile in his life right now?
The few good people around me. You don't need a lot. You just need a few. And so the people that I have around me that I can maybe count on one hand, I'm eternally grateful for them.
Powerful circle. Get you through a lot.
All you need. It's all you need.
And we need your book. And we need to follow you. So where can we follow you and follow your vision, live your truth?
Absolutely. So everything is on my website. I am SethStewart.com. Performer's Edge, my True Kings is on there, and also my book. They'll be getting the original first copies from me. I only have a few left. And then my social media is the same. I am SethStewart.com. Everything, all my links are on there. And if it's not for you, maybe you could share with a friend.
Can't wait to follow along actually and see what you are doing in 2026 and in the future for many, many years. You've changed me in this short conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people listening right now.
Oh, thank you.
Seth, thank you for sitting down with me and talking with me. Appreciate you so much, Seth Stewart. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.